That my podcast segment this week is actually being videoed in addition to being put on the air on the podcast, because I am putting this out on my YouTube channel so that you guys can share my segment this week. And this ties in with my candidacy for president in the year 2020. And you can learn more about that at Spirko2020.com. I've had people ask me if I'm serious about this or if it's a joke, and I would say it's a serious joke. I have no intention of being president. Officially, I'm not a candidate because I haven't filed any paperwork. I'm not on any ballots, and that keeps me from having to do any of the paperwork or anything like that. I do not expect to change the outcome of the election. I do not expect to be elected. I do not expect the mainstream media to even tell you my name. I really don't. Something could happen where it does, but that's not really what this is all about. This is about making you think. And I'm about to say something that, when I say it and as I say it, a lot of you are going to think I'm making a joke here, or I'm at the beginning. You might even think I just hate Congress so much that I'm just belittling the lives of congressmen. Nothing is further from the truth. I'm dead serious about this, and what I'm about to tell you actually has, and I'll explain it once I tell you the idea, a real basis in the way militaries have been run and governments have been run for thousands of years. And it would be all the way up until 1800s, even into the 1900s, that pieces of this have been done. It's never been done the way I'm about to explain it. But I believe that the United States goes way too easily into war. My reason number 5 not to vote for me that I put out yesterday was because I would not treat war like a sporting event with foam fingers saying, yay, us, and as long as we win, everything's okay. And one of the things that I think we have a problem with when it comes to warfare and bombing other countries, and do we invade them or do we bomb them or what have you, isn't just that we don't always make the president get permission from Congress to do it. Because I do think there has to be some level of emergency powers where if this threat is absolutely imminent and it needs to happen now, it needs to happen now. I think that's a very minority of the time, but I'll just accept that that's the truth. The rest of it, I think there is time for us to decide, do we really need to do this? Do we really need to be bombing people? And that doesn't mean every bomb drop needs this thing, but like this particular campaign or this particular agenda, and having something that's been out for 20 years under the authorization of use of force like we have in Iraq and Afghanistan and still in place and it's never been checked is stupid. But that doesn't solve the problem, because let me put it this way. A lot of people that are screaming right now in the halls of Congress how it's time to rein this in and stop doing it, voted for it. They voted for it. And they know, and some of them, at least to their credit now, say, I was wrong. It was a mistake. But in the words of Thomas Sowell, I don't think there's a more ridiculous or stupid or dangerous way to have decisions made in a country other than to have the people that make them bear no consequence for being wrong. I want to do better than that. I want to have a consequence for even if you're right. And nothing I'm about to say at all is a joke. I don't think it'll happen. It doesn't mean it's not a joke, or that it is a joke. So, I think that whenever our government decides that the use of force is authorized and needs to be used, that everybody at like a cabinet or presidential level position that is for this use of force should have to go through what I'm about to tell you. And every congressman and senator that votes aye, says yes, should have to deal with this as well. I think all of them should draw a lot with a number from 1 to 100. 1 to 100. And to be clear, like, you're going to be 10 of them with the number 6. We don't know. It's like you draw a lot. Okay, you get your number, you put it back in, we spin it again, and the next guy draws. And everybody that's going to vote yes or say we should do this thing has to draw a number. We then see if the measure passes. If the measure passes and we're going to war, everybody that drew a number gets to line up in a great big line in front of a great big wheel that's numbered 1 to 100. They come up. Congressman Smith from the 8th District of who knows whatville. Your number's 8. Click, 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 click. Whoo! 9. That was close. Congressman Smith, you may go. Congressman Stevens from other, Sheboyganville. Click, 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 click. 42. Oh, sorry. Your number's 42. Kneel down. Right in the back of the head. 45 hollow point. Dead. And buried with full military honors. Congressman Stevens, you're next. Come on up. And we just keep going. And everybody that said they were for war, everybody that said it was worth risking lives, come take your spin at the wheel. Now, I know some of you are saying, this guy's nuts. I'm not nuts. There's been times in warfare for thousands of years. Sometimes it has to do with deals made with the enemy. Sometimes it has to do with discipline, where it was decided that some number from this unit needed to die. And lots were drawn. And if you drew the short straw or the dark pebble or whatever it was, with honor, you stood up and you died. And you accepted that that was part of your duty in service, because let's be honest, if you're going into battle, you could die any day anyway. By being in service as a soldier, you have stated that you're willing to risk your life. And you can do everything right as a soldier, and that one stray round takes out your behind your ear, you're dead. And again, this was thousands of years of military service, that this was part of military service in some militaries. I didn't make this up. Now, I don't know of any time it's ever been done with a government official who sends the soldier to war, but why not? Now, some of you said when I put this out on Facebook in a little blurb, we should make their children go to war. Why? They don't own their children. You don't send your kids to war, and neither do they. That's an asinine statement. That is as anti-libertarian as it gets. You don't own your adult children no more than I own my adult children. I remember Michael Moore's little publicity stunt where he ran around to members of Congress and said, here, sign your son or your daughter up for the military. I was like, here, let me see it. Let me sign. It doesn't mean nothing. That's not how it works. We ain't had a draft since the 1970s. We haven't had a draft in over 40 years. Everybody that's in military service chooses to go. They choose to serve. They choose to enlist. And I don't think for a minute there ain't some people in our government that aren't scummy enough that they wouldn't care about killing their own kids. They'll care about killing themselves. They'll care about taking that risk. We should make them serve. They have to, and if you want to be pro-war, you have to. I don't want them there. They're incompetent. Let's be honest. There could be a time when we do need to go to war. There could be a time that we do need to go to war. That everybody that voted yes did so because they really believed in it. They really thought it was the right thing to do. They weren't doing it so Lockheed or whatever could make money. That they looked at it and they said, in my belief, totally somberly, not fake, I absolutely believe we need to do this. And if you accept that, and I do, that some of our members of the government really feel that way and would still vote yes, then it might be pretty horrifying to you that, well, that means a good man, a man that you'd like to be your neighbor, would stand up for what is right because he really believed in it, do the right thing, and even be right about it being the right thing. And just because he did the right thing the right way in the right time, he's dead. That's pretty horrifying, isn't it? Guess what? Every soldier that chooses to serve believes in what they're doing or they wouldn't choose to serve. Every single one of our soldiers that goes overseas, whether you're pro or anti that war, every single one that goes because they believe in what they're doing. They're good men, good women, that do the right thing in their mind. That's what it is. And every one of them dies exactly that way. I didn't just pull 1% out of my ass. You look at totally deployed troops over the last 20 years, and our death count's actually pretty low. About 1% chance. You know, if you're not counting TAMS clerks, which are paperwork people that work deep in the rear or something like that, if you look at people that actually deployed into harm's way, there's about a 1% chance of dying. Now, being maimed, mentally screwed up, etc., ending up committing suicide, those numbers are much higher. I don't know how to simulate that for our Congress. But I can look at it and say 1% is pretty low. And if you're not willing to say, I'm willing to take a 1% risk with my own life, which plenty of people do to have surgeries every day, because I believe in this that much that I'm willing to risk my life. You shouldn't have the right to risk anybody else's life. And I'm only talking about our side at this point. Because if you won't risk your life, you damn sure shouldn't have the right to take lives. Because there is no such a thing as a clean war. Even under the best of circumstances, there will be what they call collateral damage. And somebody's child, thousands of miles away that cannot hurt you, will die. Because you made that vote yes. And that yes vote under my system might get you the back of your head blown off. But your yes vote, whether it does it to you or not, is going to do it to somebody, somewhere. And if you're not willing to risk it happening to you, what right do you have to ask one of our young people to go risk their life, or to take one and then have to live with it for the rest of their lives? And my response to that, my own question is, you have no right. You have zero right to send our young people off to die and to kill other young people if you won't risk share in the process. And I know some people will just think, God, that's horrible. Yeah, it is. Every war is horrible. That's the point. Anyway, with that, I just want you to think about that. I just want you to think about it. And the next time there are calls for war, and you think we should go, would you take that risk for it? If it was real, if it wasn't a scenario that some redneck hippie duck farmer put out, would you do it? And if you wouldn't, how can you dare ask somebody else to do so? Especially when you're in an active role. See, the one thing I can say, at least for the American people that are misled into cheering for this stuff, is though they have a foam finger in the corner, of a football stadium, they get disconnected from it. These people that vote, yes, let's go to war, they have the power to say no. The American people, y'all really don't have the power to say no anymore. Really let that sink in.